Deflation by Peter Schiff. Peter Schiff did a video, 53-minute video on his show. Title of the video was Deflation, a concern so stupid only an intellectual could be worried. Well, it's not so nice. All right, now I'm going to read to you directly from this book, Tragedy and Hope. Well, let me tell you about Tragedy and Hope. A definitive work on world power structure, Tragedy and Hope. To understand the minds that shape this world, read the book that shapes their minds. All right, and this is a direct quote from President Bill Clinton. I heard the call clarified by a professor I had named Carol Quigley. And here's a direct quote from the book. The powers of financial capitalism had a far-reaching plan, nothing less than to create a world system of financial control in private hands able to dominate the political system of each country and the economy as a whole. Not too shabby. And I'm going to read directly from the book. So bear with me. Probably most of you have already left. Good riddance. This is on page 46. In the course of time, the central fact of developing economic systems, the relationship between goods and money, became clear, at least to bankers. The relationship, the price system, depended on 5 things: the supply and the demand for goods, the supply and the demand for money, and the speed of exchange between money and goods. An increase in 3 of these, demand for goods, supply of money, and speed of circulation, would move the prices of goods up and the value of money down. This inflation is objectionable to bankers, although desirable to producers and merchants. On the other hand, decreases in the 3 items would be deflationary and would please bankers, worry producers and merchants, and delight consumers, who obtain more goods for less money. The other factors worked in the opposite direction, so that an increase in the supply of goods, demand for money, and slowness of circulation of exchange would be deflationary. Then he goes on, which he did. He did go on. Quite frankly, to quote Vince McMahon, quite frankly, I'm on page 916, and I started this book back in March of last year. So what is that, like 3 pages a day? So I'm not exactly a towering intellectual giant, and I don't claim to be. Now let me speak to Mr. Schiff, and I expect to get hits on this video. Mr. Schiff is a good guy. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. He's an extremely good business person, and he happens to have the same last name as one of the founders of the Federal Reserve System, which is kind of funny that he's a Schiff, and there was a Schiff that founded the Federal Reserve, and I've never heard anybody ask him about that, and I'm really not concerned about that. Everybody has family. His father was I don't know if he's still in jail, but his father, Irwin Schiff, was a very big IRS freedom fighter and went to prison over the Internal Revenue Service. So he's definitely got courage, he's got guts, and he's got brains, and I'm not trying to, but I don't, in this particular instance, I don't like the title of his video, maybe to attract viewers, and I don't like the level of the intellectual exchange that he's encouraging here. So let me just read to you the level of exchange that I had. And I have to admit that I did not listen to his video because I'm a little tired of him, which is fine. He's doing fine without me. All right, this is me, Anthony Daines. I said, bankers like deflation. It means the money we pay back is worth more than we borrowed. Deflation is the cause of our slow economy, or at least its symptom of the same disease. So then some gentleman called me back, or wrote back, JIK99us, no, that's incorrect. I responded back, wow, what an argument. JIK9US, it's not arguable. I responded back, sir, I mean no disrespect, but your comments have no depth and no knowledge of history. I've learned about deflation reading Tragedy and Hope by Carol Quigley. It's a landmark book. I've read Mises' Human Action, Hayek, and have a degree in economics. You have made no argument, only assertions. I agree inflation is a real concern, but so is deflation. So this is JIK99us. Deflation is good for bankers. government and the elite. Inflation is bad for people and good for the bankers and government. Do you disagree? If so, you are incorrect. As I said, if I'm paying back a loan back in an inflation, the money I sent to the bank is worth less than what I borrowed. If on the case of deflation, the money is worth more than I borrowed. That's simple stuff. So that's the whole exchange. Now, he was partly correct. Deflation is good for people, which I didn't point that out because I didn't really understand it. This stuff is very complex. So let's read that one more time so we can go over that, so we can learn a little lesson here. And then I'm going to make a comment, and then I'm going to be done. Go to page 46. And I'm just telling you, some of this stuff reads pretty quick, and some of it just takes forever. I'm reading out of the post-war, after the war, he's starting about Mr. Nixon and the whole anti-communist thing. It's very interesting. One more time, I'm going to go over this for you people in Rio Linda. And for me. In the course of time, the central fact of the developing economic system, the relationship between goods and money, became clear, at least to bankers. The relationship, the price system, depends on 5 things. The supply and demand for goods, the supply and the demands for money, and the speed of exchange between money and goods. An increase in 3 of these, demand for goods, supply of money, speed of circulation, would move the prices of goods up and the value of money down. The inflation was objectable to bankers, although desirable to producers and merchants. On the other hand, a decrease in the same 3 items would be deflationary and would please bankers, worry producers and merchants, and delight consumers by who obtained more goods for less money. The other factors worked in the opposite direction, so that an increase in the supply of goods, demand for money, and the slowness of exchange would be deflationary. For instance, I saw a story on CNN this morning where a young man went in to get his lunch, and he was $5 short on his lunch, and they went in the school system went in and took his lunch away from him. And he was $5 short in his account, and they took his lunch away from him and embarrassed him in front of all the kids. And the mother came in, and not only did she fix his shortage, she paid it for the whole school. She paid over $200 just to make it clear, and she said she didn't want that happening to other kids. That's a deflationary story. In other words, the school system is so broke, they have to resort to that. I don't know, that it could be they're jerks, but yeah, that's deflation. So that was bad for government in that set case. This is a very complex thing and a very complex argument, and this young man is very simplistic, and quite frankly, Mr. Schiff is being simplistic. Now, in his own defense, when he was talking about the crisis in 2006, 2007, he was dead on, he was exactly right, and he took a lot of flack. He got beat up and yelled at and called names. So, yeah. As I said, he's a good guy, but I wish you'd be a little better player, and not talk about the Federal Reserve chairman like she's some kind of nitwit, which is what you did. I don't appreciate that. She seems to be a good person to me. I said so as much on one of my videos. So let's try to keep the level of discourse a little higher. Let's challenge ourselves intellectually a little bit, and let's all try to learn and think a little more. Bye-bye.